On April 25th, 1978, the Philadelphia Phillies get a surprise guest for the first time when the Philly Phanatic is introduced as the new Phillies mascot, becoming one of the most iconic mascots of all time. And here's the history behind the Philly Phanatic today on Daily Sports History. Welcome to Daily Sports History. I'm Ethan Reese, your guide to a rapid deep dive in sports history every day. Now, mascots go back a long way, back into the 1800s, when a little boy named Chick was the bat boy for local baseball teams and became known as the good luck charm for the teams. But in 1880, the French opera La Mascotte was released and brought the name Mascotte into the mainstream, which means good luck charm in French. Eventually, the E got dropped off, and we Americanized it to being Mascot. And we've had many versions of mascots. The first animal mascot was Handsome Dan, the Yale Bulldog, who started in 1892 and is still a mascot for Yale. But the first costume mascot was Mr. Met of the New York Mets, who are a new franchise in 1964, which was basically just a man wearing a giant baseball on his head, but helped lead the way to the mascots that we all know and love today. Now, in 1976, the Philadelphia Phillies were looking to up their mascot game, especially after a few years previously, the San Diego Padres introduced the San Diego Chicken, who was the first fully costumed mascot, which actually started in San Diego as a TV commercial. Then a man actually put on a chicken suit, going around to local places to help promote the radio station, Easter egg hunts, and the man in the chicken suit was Ted Giannolias, who was a 20-year-old journalism major at San Diego State University. And he actually took the chicken idea from the radio station and brought it to the San Diego Padres, mainly because he just wanted to get into games for free. The Padres ran with it and allowed him to wander through the stands, and he would actually lay an egg as a prize to patrons all around the stadium. And this became a staple and helped increase attendance at Padres games. And that's when it took notice from the Philadelphia Phillies. When the Philadelphia Phillies promotion director, Frank Sullivan, thought they should have a similar mascot, he actually hired a team that had worked with the Jim Henson Company, mainly because Jim Henson turned him down when they offered him the chance. So they hired Harrison and Eckerson of New York, who actually had helped design Miss Piggy to design a new mascot for the Philadelphia Phillies, as they didn't have an easy mascot to think of. When you think of Phillies, there's not an animal or a person to really connect with. Although they did have two mascots, Philadelphia Phil and Philadelphia Phyllis, which were siblings dressed up in revolutionary spirits from back in the 1760s. But they wanted to revamp it, and that's when they came up with the Philly Phanatic. Eckerson later said that the Phanatic was just a fantasy animal, and they threw everything that they thought would be fun onto him. And they wanted it to look like nothing they had ever seen before, so that whenever anyone put it on, they would become the Phanatic. And Eckerson even created a backstory for the Phanatic, saying he evolved from the Galapagos and became an enormous baseball fan. And he thought Charles Darwin would be proud of the creature they created. Now, if you've never seen the Philly Phanatic, he's a giant green creature with a tube-like nose and two giant star-like eyes, who has a large, round belly and is very furry and wears a jersey with a giant five-pointed star on the back. And on April 25th, 1978, when the Phillies were facing off against the Chicago Cubs, he made his debut. But there was no promotion behind it. He just appeared to everyone in the fans. They had no idea there was going to be a new mascot. But fans quickly grew to love the mascot. And he was being portrayed by David Raymond, who was actually a summer intern in 1976 and 77, and wanted to stay with the team, so he decided he would portray the mascot that they were going to introduce. And he portrayed the mascot all the way until 1993, when Tom Burgoyne took over the Phanatic role, which actually led to a major change for the character, as when Raymond was the Phanatic, he was left-handed and Tom was right-handed. But this little change didn't really stop the Phanatic from growing in popularity. And Tom actually now has 3 backups to help him attend over 800 events a year across the country, and has led the Philly Phanatic into the Hall of Fame for mascots, and has been featured in multiple TV and film roles, as well as multiple promotions for Major League Baseball. But in 2018, Harrison and Eckerson, the creators of the Philly Phanatic costume, were suing the Philadelphia Phillies. See, way back when the Phillies paid for the costume, they could pay $5,200 for both the costume and the copyright ownership, or just $3,900 for just the costume, and Harrison and Eckerson would retain the copyright. The Phillies decided to just pay the cheaper amount and would pay a fee to license the character from Harrison and Eckerson for the copyright. And they were arguing that the licensing agreement they had did not keep up with how much the Phanatic was worth, and they were owed millions of dollars. And the Philadelphia Phillies actually countersuing, basically saying eminent domain, that the Philly Phanatic belonged to the city. But eventually they did work out an agreement and they settled out of court. But the Philadelphia Phillies did change the look of the Phanatic a little bit to get out of their legal hot water with the designers. And the Philly Phanatic lives on forever in Philadelphia. And the Philly Phanatic just goes to show you how much we love our teams. We love our mascots, and they help us cheer for our teams. And even though we don't have a mask, we can cheer just like the Phanatic and have just as much fun at the game, because our fandom is all we need to root for our team. I need you to root for us by subscribing for our team at Daily Sports History.